Welcome back to the podcast today. I've got a guest with me who's an army veteran, but we're not really going to talk about too much of her life in the military, because actually I think your life post-military is arguably more interesting. And it's a story of resilience, and it's a story of service, I would say, continued service. Can you take me back to 2 days in 2020 where your life got flipped upside down? And welcome to the show, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. It's always lovely to come to Manchester, that's for sure. Yeah, so it kind of started a little bit in 2019 when we all, the end of 2019, when we all sort of were hearing about this COVID thing, and you know, people going, do you think we'll get locked down? Do you think it's going to get here? And everyone was like waiting for this tidal wave to hit. And at the same time as that, my brother was diagnosed with stage 4 bowel cancer. And I was diagnosed with PTSD. You know, I thought I was just a bit strange at times, but you know, it ended up like both those two big hitters sort of hit at the same time. And then obviously all the concentration went to my brother, because stage 4 bowel cancer, you know, didn't know much about cancer because it never affected my life. And yeah, thought, yeah, he's going to beat it. He's strong, fit, healthy. Didn't look like he had cancer. And then lockdown hit, and then it couldn't have been the worst time in history to be sick, I think, in our modern day history, because none of us knew how to handle it. The government, really stickly, it was new to them. The public, we were all scared, and things started closing down, and the hospitals stopped treatments. You know, and anything that was potentially available just wasn't. So he did go under chemo briefly, but it just ripped through his body within a matter of months, really.
I wasn't aware that. I would have assumed things like certainly stage 4 treatment for cancer would have continued. I thought that stuff was prioritised, but it wasn't.
Not realistically at the start. It was delayed. I mean, the NHS were amazing. They did what they could, and there was just treatments that would have been on offer if COVID hadn't hit, that potentially they could have tried out on him. Alternative methods, like, you know, going to amazing places in Germany that try different methods alongside the conventional methods, could have been an option. And it was a kind of, everything was stripped away. You had no freedom. Potentially I shouldn't have been, because I lived in Brighton then, I shouldn't have been travelling up to see him and looking after him and, you know, being there for him, but because it was probably illegal. Well, it was.
It was illegal.
You know, it was that time. It was just like everything for him, you know, to look after him, to see if we can get him through it.
It's actually such a strange, it almost doesn't feel real when you talk about that time in our lives when we all kind of got locked up in our own houses.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, seems like everybody's...
It feels like time's changed since then. Nothing, like there's almost like a pre and a post-COVID world, it feels like. I can't explain it, but it does feel like we transcended something somehow. But yeah, when you say like, yeah, coming up to see my sick brother was illegal, it literally was illegal.
Yeah.
You couldn't drive into the next county.
No.
You was not supposed to mix households.
No. Like, I remember him saying, I really want to go to Anglesey and, you know, see the sea and stuff. And I was like, get in. And he was like, oh no, because he was like a law-abiding citizen, you know, ex-Navy and all that type of stuff. And he was like, no, I mean, I'm not a lawbreaker, but it's like, what are they going to say? Slap you with a fine? I was like, write a letter and say I'm going to be dead in, you know, because I said, sod it. So what if you get a fine? Let's go. And he wouldn't, because he was so like fearful of getting into trouble, and obviously still had the hope that he would survive, so then maybe he would get the fine. But, you know, who'd blame him? I was like, fight it later. But he never got to see beautiful Anglesey or, you know, North Wales and stuff like that.
How long did he last before he passed?
It was just over 3 months.
Wow, that is aggressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
What did that do to you?
It realised that I was not mortal, or I was not immortal. You know, I was, you know, when you're younger, you just think you can do everything. You think nothing's going to affect you. And then someone close as you, your brother, you know, your siblings, you expect your mum and your dad to die because it's a natural order. But for that to have hit,
He was younger than you as well.
No, he was older. Yeah, I'm the baby. But yeah, it was just like, and then seeing him helpless, and you know how it rips through your body is horrendous. It's horrendous.
And what did that spark in you following that? Because that has really pushed you into this next stage of life, right?
Yeah. So there's how it transpires is I've always used fitness and exercise as a way to relieve stress, and a lot of people do, and it's a good stress reliever, isn't it, as well as getting out in nature. And every day after I'd seen him, I mean, it was beautiful, wasn't it, during COVID? You know, it was,
couldn't have asked for better, was
you
it?
know, it was amazing. So I'd get out and go out on my bike and cycle along like the Wirral Peninsula, which is a lovely bit of cycling, to be fair. So I'd use that as a stress reliever, and that on one particular day I got hit and left on the side of the road, and every cyclist will sort of say, the first thing you do is jump up and check your bike, and that's what I did. And my bike was destroyed, and I thought, I'm a bit sore, and I ended up in A&E and got a few, like, I've still got a few scars from it and stuff, and I couldn't wait to go and see my brother the next day. So I mean, he was bedridden at this point, to show him my new scars, because we'd always had arguments on who had the best scars. We'd be like, he had a pretty good one after the surgery because he had one. I was like, oh, I'm never going to beat that one. And I went round the next day and we got a phone call, and I was like, oh yeah, it's near then, but you know, thinking it's going to drag on for a few weeks sort of thing. I went round, took a book, and you know, so we could be in the room, and then literally he'd waited for me. What some people say, they wait for everyone to be there, and then he literally died within like half an hour of me getting there. Oh. Which was, you know, you knew it was coming, but it was tough, really.
And that sparked the desire to do these challenges, these fitness challenges.
Yeah, so I've always done challenges. I've just always done, like, you know, ultras or marathons and stuff, and just always stuck a fundraising page up. But this was different, and I wanted to make something good out of something bad, if you can try and do that. So I decided to walk 5,200 miles in a year. It soon became apparent to me that walking or running 5,200 miles is near on impossible. So I wanted to supplement it with a bike. And I was going to do it for charity, for a local cancer charity on the Wirral, called the Wirral Holistic Centre, where that helped him with different therapies. And I started out, and I realised it was quite hard. At the same time, I was under Help for Heroes, and I told them, you know, about the bike and about my brother and all that type of stuff. And they were like, oh, let's see if we can get you some help. Thought nothing of it, because, you know, you never think you're going to be on the side where you need charity, because, like, you know, you're tough, and from the army, you know, my brother used to call me the tough sister. My other sister, Kim, was the fluffy sister. So didn't think anything of it. SAFA called me up. They were amazing, and within a couple of weeks, they bought me a bike. So it got a lot easier. I still tried to do a lot of running and stuff. So within a year, that had gained momentum. I was just not doing it for any other reason but memory for my brother, and to raise a bit of money for a charity that helped him. And like within a year, I'd raised like £10,000, which was unbelievable for, you know, I just thought I was going out, raising a bit of money, keeping myself busy, which is maybe how I coped with the grief, because I knew I had to do 100 miles every week. So it takes up a bit of time. And I ended up setting up a art foundation within that charity under his name, which was there to help people escape from the disease so you can switch off. Because during his short time with cancer, he wanted to get back into art, and the funding had been cut. Right. So there was nowhere he could go. So I instead just bought him some, art stuff, and he painted some pictures of birds and that type of thing. So that I believe still going, and the first class, helped a load of patients with cancer and gave them a little bit of respite from just constantly thinking about the disease. And I think that's where people who haven't had something like that, they don't maybe realise that your whole life's consumed. And I don't know how you could concentrate on something else without some sort of focus like fine art or running or,
I've heard a few instances of people using different art, whether that's drawing, whether that's sculpting.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think it's something that you have to be present to do. You can't really half-ass. It's not like watching TV and you end up scrolling. Yeah. Like, I think you actually have to concentrate. Yeah. And I think fitness challenges are just another extension of that. I think because you have to be present, it does take your mind off stuff. Where did the 100 miles a week idea come from? Just pull a figure out your ass?
No, well, because that year he would have been 52. So the maths all worked. And it was pretty tough to do 100 miles. I mean, I have made mistakes in the past where I've said I'm going to do 100 miles in a day on an indoor bike. This was on Christmas Day, a bit later on. And I meant to say 100k. And it actually took me from like 8 a.m. till like, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night, and I was not popular on Christmas Day time.
Where does this come from, right? Because I want to touch here on, there's a resilience thing. You'd say your family called you the tough one. Do you think the army selects or breeds that resilience?
So I think it's something in you which can probably be enhanced. Because I was like a lot of good soldiers and stuff, was in the Cadetes when I was a kid. And that was where it kind of clicked for me, that I was like, I love this. I love the structure. I like structure, which is potentially why I like fitness as well now. And I loved everything about it. And I just was like, yeah, this is for me. I don't particularly like getting up early in the morning. I'm not a 4 a.m.er like some crazies are. It's like, no, I like my sleep in now, but it was a structure of, you get up, you don't have to think about much else. You get on parade, do your drill. I like drill, a bit weird.
Yeah, nobody likes drill.
No, I like drill. Not particularly, I like to, yeah. So love drill, love weapons, love fieldcraft. I don't know why, even when it's something, I think when you've finished, you feel like you've achieved something. So I'd say they probably select that type of person who has the affinity to it, and the ones that don't, they don't particularly last.
Where does the grand challenges come from? Because I find myself doing the same thing all the time, and I didn't realize I was doing it until my wife pointed out that I do it, and I go, I'm just going to set like a really impossible sounding challenge and then break myself to go do it. Why do we do that?
I think it's a kind of sense that you need purpose and drive. So it's maybe because we've maybe got out now and we haven't got that structure, so we're making that structure for ourselves. We're just crazy and like doing stuff that people think is not achievable. I mean, I try to do all my challenges since have been everyday challenges that don't really cost the world. So, not everybody can go and walk from one side of America to the other because we've got jobs, right, and mortgages, families and things to pay. So I try and fit it round going off and doing some work. And so that 5,200 miles in a year worked for me. And then from then on, it was a bit weird. So from then on, I wanted to pay SAFA back. So I thought I couldn't ask anyone else for money. So I wrote a book, poetry book, and gave all the proceeds to SAFA. And I kind of, someone noticed me doing this stuff and put me in for a few awards. And then from there, I've just sort of found that affinity to continue to drive and try and make, well, not really make thousands now, because people, it's pretty tough for people. I think after COVID, loads of people had loads of spare cash, so that people could be more generous. But more, it's the awareness of the charities that I'm doing it for. It's the awareness of the mental health side of things, and I think even if I raise like £1,000 on something or 50 quid, it's getting out there with the awareness of the charities, and that's where it counts, I think.
Yeah, not necessarily on the figures, more the causes and stuff behind it.
Yeah, because it's putting a person in touch or signposting them that they didn't know. So you don't know, if you like, the ripples of what you're doing, I think, if it just helps one person.
Well, yeah, that's more important than the money, isn't it?
Yeah.
Take me back to the why that made you join the army.
Yeah, so I knew from the cadets, I knew I wanted to do it because I loved it, but I kind of, so why? I think I knew I loved it. I knew I loved all of the subjects, and I wanted to be challenged. I wanted to do something with my life. The cliche, I wanted to see the world. I certainly did. And yeah, it must have just been for the challenge and the freedom to get away and fly the nest and grow up in that environment. And I did like the uniform. So.
Really?
Yeah, better than the Navy.
Well, yeah,
Yeah. And I only say that because my brother was in the Navy and my dad was merchant Navy, so I should have gone in the Navy. But maybe in hindsight, they get treated a bit better, don't they?
I don't know. I spent a bit of time on a boat.
Yeah, I love boats.
Or a ship, as they like to call it. And
yeah, boat ships. Yeah, I was always getting told off.
It wasn't for me. That's clearly a theme throughout your life, is the desire to be challenged. Is that your purpose, to just grind?
I think so. I mean, people could be saying I'm going to stop. So this year I've got quite a big challenge on. But I don't think, as long as my body's moving, that I'm going to stop. I mean, I have stopped kind of running because of my injuries. I'm doing more hiking and cycling. But yeah, I think it does drive me. And because I've got, if you like, more of a message now, and I'm an ambassador for a few charities, it's just getting out there and sharing that story, I think. Not particularly my story, but the story of others.
Where's that come from?
I think a lot of service personnel have a purpose to serve, and I think a lot of us join up and we don't realise we're joining up, but we're serving, if you like, the cliche queen and country, or king and country as it is now, and we want that pride and that side of thing with service. I think it's like if you join as a nurse or a doctor. I mean, doctors do make a lot of money, but they don't join to make millions, do they? You don't join as a soldier to make millions. Certainly don't. The pay rate is horrendous. It should be much more, but that's another debate, isn't it? And I think it's not about the money. It's about giving back or serving the country, or as now my purpose is just, so like I'm back within the Army Cadets as an instructor, so it's the cliche giving back, which I cringe at saying, but I guess it is. I guess some people are made to be in that industry because they want to have a greater purpose than money.
I don't think. What age was you when you joined?
I was 19.
I was
Just 19, yeah.
Yeah, literally, it was a month after my
Yeah.
19th birthday. I don't think when I joined at 19, I understood service.
No, I don't think I did.
And I don't think that's something that comes to you until either later or possibly even when you leave, as a concept that you understand. I think you join because this looks cool. It's probably the driver of it at that time.
Well, I wanted to be Frank.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw those adverts, but yeah, I wanted to go skiing. And I mean, I skied as well. So my two passions when I was a kid was I was a skier. I was in the English ski team, mainly on plastic. So I was skiing and I did Army Cadets. So it was kind of combining those two adventurous things. I mean, I never thought that I would get much skiing, but according to the adverts, it said I did. So, and yeah, you're totally right. I think I've only made the connection between purpose and service, I would say maybe in the last year or so. We've doing podcasts and delving deeper into maybe my own psyche to understand myself, to why I still get up in the morning and go, right, so at the minute my miles are crazy because I'm behind, so that I'm trying to do like 150 a week. So it's to drive and get up, and the multi-day events, you finished, you're like, thank God I finished. One of my challenges was 50k a day for a month, and that was horrendous. It's like,
was that over any mode as well?
That was any mode, but I was trying to do mainly because people see cycling as it's not easy but easier, so I'd always go, right, I'm doing it on an indoor bike because there's no 3 miles. But yeah, that was horrendous. Some days I'd wake up and I'd just finished at 10 o'clock at night getting my miles in. So then the next day I'd have to get up, and it is like you do have to delve deep into why you're doing it. And I think the more crazy challenge started at that trigger point with my brother, and then the thing of SAFA's helped me, I need to give them back something, not that they ever asked. And then that's kind of who I raised money for is SAFA, Woody's Lodge, and now also ACT UK, which is the cadet charity. Because I've seen these charities change lives and help people when they're at rock bottom, and whether that's just providing a safe space for them to talk and stuff. And I know it's not for me, and realistically, veterans should be looked after better, and that can anger me at times when I see how people are treated, because the government should look after us. But that's not how it is. So the charities are there, so that's what we need to crack on and help support. Yeah,
I don't think there's anyone watching that's going to disagree with that. Talk me through what a 100-mile week was, from a logistics point of view. So you're still working, you're still having to go and earn a living.
Yeah.
And at this time you are, running it, hiking it, cycling it, a combination of all three? Yeah,
I did do a little bit of kayaking in the summer, but those miles are hard.
Yeah, they must be slow.
Yeah.
That's like choosing to row it, isn't it? It's the same thing.
Yeah. So yeah, like kind of like a mini triathlon type thing every day, if I was splitting it that way. But so like an average day, if I'm only working from home and I'm not abroad or doing something else, I'll get up, I'll either go for a walk around the beautiful Birkenhead Park, which weirdly, Birkenhead has its problems, but the park is stunning. Let's do some promotion for the Birkenhead now. And so I'll walk around that, that's 4 miles, or I'll try and jog it a bit, but it's generally walking. Then I'll get in, do some work, probably go at lunchtime, do another 4 miles. And then of an evening, in the summer, I'd probably do another 4. And maybe substitute it in the week with a spin. So if I go for an hour spin, I'm getting nearly 18 to 20 miles, so that ups it.
But are you still doing 100-mile weeks now? Oh, I didn't realise that.
Yeah, so my new challenge is, because it's 5 years since my brother's death and COVID, I started again last September, doing 100 miles a week for charity again. But this time it's it's trying to involve more people, less lonely. So I've also, at the very end of it, which is in 2 weeks' time now, because it's creeped up, I'm taking a team of another 5 women to Everest. Hopefully, we're trekking. We're not going to Everest. We're going to the foot of Everest. So we're going to trek from base to base camp, and that's sort of to highlight basically the mainly veterans, highlight connectivity and positive mental health, and raise a bit of money. And that, hopefully, by the time we get to the foot of Everest, I've done 5,200 miles.
Wow.
Which at the minute, I've had to up my miles to about 150.
A day.
Yeah, because I'm behind, because I got a bit sick in the year, you can imagine. Got a bit sick, or jobs, so like I was away in the Middle East for a couple of weeks, training, working, and that was quite hard to keep the miles up, because that was literally in a gym. You're trying to get your miles up. So I have dropped behind, so I've had to up them dramatically to try and reach my goals. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your non-negotiables then in terms of your own mental health? You mentioned you struggle with PTSD. Are you on top of that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. So everybody's experience of PTSD is different, isn't it? And I don't. So when I speak to friends and other veterans and what they've been through and how it presents to them, I'm okay. I cope with it. I might have a few night terrors. I might grind my teeth, or, but I'm functional. I'm living, my best life. I'm out there. I can still move, and that's where I'm at with it, with the PTSD. But I've lost the trail of thought. What your question was?
It was non-negotiables. I think. I'm not going to second guess what you're about to say, but it feels like the purposes and the challenge aligns you to focus on a little bit like you were talking about with your brother and your art or his art. I think, and I certainly find it in my own sort of sense, if I'm sitting and wallowing, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. And
I think if I'm almost too busy, and I think that having the purpose of whether that's hitting 100, 150 miles a day, or if it's, trying to, at the minute, I'm just trying to stack my wins, trying to hit, I am one of those 5 o'clock starters, trying to make sure I'm hitting all of those wins. I haven't got time to sit and think and spiral and have that. There's obviously certain things I avoid, bonfire night being one of them, which is going to set me off and set me back. But outside of that, if I just stay busy, I feel like I'm on top of it generally anyway.
Yeah, no, so yeah, it is busy in yourself, and that's what, and some people might say it's running away from it, but that's how I cope. So it is definitely fitness, and for me it's connection with nature, because I love getting up on the mountains. Anything outside, even if you're just having a walk around the park, seeing green is calming and soothing, isn't it? And then animals, and dogs, and anything to do with animals, because that's nature. So I just love those 3 things, and they are what drive me and keep me on track, I think, from as you say, that wallowing. But I do need a purpose. I have probably got some form of ADHD or whatever, but I'm always doing something. My mind's going 100 miles an hour, and it's only when I'm out hiking, basically blowing out my arse, I can't concentrate on anything else, that my mind becomes still, I think. Otherwise, I'm thinking of the next project or the next crazy challenge or something.
I think that's a common veteran trait.
Yeah.
Because you could be talking about me there.
Yeah.
I do a walk every single morning.
No.
And I go and get out in nature for 6 a.m. every single morning. That's non-negotiable for me. And I find it, I've been doing it for months, and I find it mellows me out, gets my head straight. I don't really think about anything in particular while I'm out there, and I'll do shorter ones, longer ones. But yeah, there's something in that hanging out my house is...
Yeah. And just being in nature. So last year I did Scotland 300. So I've tried to do themes now. So last year it was all about loneliness and the effects of loneliness. So I went solo across Scotland, 300 miles. So it was hiking, kayaking and cycling back, basically.
Are you through hiking with this? So you're taking your own tent and stuff?
Yeah, so I the only help I had was the cadet force up there. They dropped my kayak off when I got to the kayak stage, and they dropped my bike off when I got to the bike stage, which was perfect. So
are you carrying your own food, or are you getting resupplied?
Yeah, carrying basically my own food for each stage. But because we're not as, dense as somewhere like Canada, so you're going to see civilization. So,
even in Scotland,
yeah,
Scotland's pretty sparse, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But a lot of the time you go through. So we did the West Highland Way, which most people are familiar with from Glasgow.
That's quite a touristy.
Yeah. So we did it before. It's kind of only just sort of opened, and I was trying to get around the midges. But the weather was horrendous. It was like torrential rain for 14 days. I thought I was going to take 3 weeks, but I ended up taking like 13 because I just wanted it done because it was terrible weather.
So is that hiking and kayaking?
Yeah, so I hiked the West Highland Way to Fort William, jumped in a kayak and paddled the Great Glen, which I underestimated as well. And then I cycled back. So, but the theme of it is what my point was. I think the loneliness side of it was what I was highlighting. And it was very interesting that the only time I kind of felt lonely was when I was around people.
Wow.
So when I was the side of Loch Ness, pulled up for the night, there was nobody around, maybe 50 miles or maybe less. Across the road, I think there was a road going past, but there was a big body of water. I didn't feel lonely there because I was surrounded in nature and beauty. But when I went into the towns and maybe grabbed a cheeky Diet Coke or something, or, something to eat, that was when you felt lonely because you were around people and families, and I think that's what people feel when they're lonely. The old lady that's lost her husband who goes to the shop and maybe doesn't get the interaction that they used to get because there's these scanning machines and they don't chat to anyone. That's when I think loneliness hits people.
There's something in that. I don't know what to say. But no, I absolutely feel what you're saying, I think, in terms of it's loneliness is it's not a proximity to people. Yeah. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's
connection.
Here? Correct.
And I think in nature you can connect, and then with humans is where you need the connection as well. But if you are out in nature, it can fill a little bit of that void, I guess. I mean, we're quite chatty up north, aren't we? So, down south, when I lived down south, you could go a day without ever speaking to someone. Going to the shops, like you'd lived there for 10 years, they still might not engage at you. But it is definitely the connection, I think, that people miss.
What was your thinking, your thought processes, your themes of thought as you're doing that 300, that 2 weeks without? So did you not even speak to anyone really at all in that 300?
Not in a meaningful way, just kind of, hi, can I have a can of Coke? Or so not really in a meaningful way. I mean, I'm quite chatty. People say that I'd chat. I do. If I go to a bar, I'll be chatting to strangers and stuff. And my sister or whoever I'm out with will be like, what are you chatting to now? Sort of thing. But yeah, it's along the way, I think, because some of it was tough. The Great Glen Way is quite tough. not the Great Glen. The Great Glen's quite tough, which I'm a good kayaker, but you forget that the body of water of Loch Ness is, it's huge. It can fit all of the water in England and Wales in the Loch Ness, and it's got its own oral and eye because the waves can be massive. And it was only when I was speaking to a friend, Sip, and he was going, "Have you got yourself a swim line? To hang off the back in case you come out." I was like, "I hadn't even thought of that. I don't come out." But, in my head, I don't come out. But yeah, you do. And I was like, oh God. So I went and bought like a rope and stuff before
Did you
I
come
started.
out?
No. I think it would have been Index because it was so cold and, dragging yourself out. And
You're not in a dry suit or anything, are you?
No. No. I mean, dry suits a bit better now, but my dry suit's not the best. And then I was in like a split, a cag and a palm bottom, so like a split dry suit, so I would have been soaked. So yeah, and it was just a case of staying up, and it did get a bit choppy, but luckily for me, Loch Ness was kind to me, and the trip was kind, because it could have been the other way, because the waves can be horrendous.
How long did you kayak in for each day?
I ended up doing it in 2.5 days, so it's pretty fast. I was in a sea kayak, so it was quite slick. Most people take 3-4 days to do it.
Are you pulling up over to the beach and sleeping?
Yeah,
and cracking on the next day?
Yeah. Which was stunning. It was beautiful. I've got like did like a fast camera action of me putting up a tent, and like it's just like stunning. So it's amazing to look back at.
Yeah, I can imagine that's like a real good memory of a time of solitude, but not necessarily loneliness.
No. And yeah, I mean, I wanted to do something bigger and better than what I'd done. And people underestimate Scotland, don't they? Because everybody goes off and they do treks to Machu Picchu or Kilimanjaro and stuff, but Scotland's brutal. It's where the Royal Marines train, it's where the British Army train, and it's there for a reason, because it's brutal weather. It's decent hills. Something's always trying to kill you, like midges or whatever.
I don't think people actually fully understand the midges in Scotland, do they?
That's why I went in the snow. So, yeah, it was like midges or snow. I was like, I'm going for the snow. I mean, I didn't expect snow in April, but, but yeah, it was a real, I wanted to do it. And also, probably what I haven't said is it was my second attempt. So my first attempt was the year before. And I was going through a bad sort of divorce. I thought the divorce would be over by then. And I was calling it my Freedom Quest challenge sort of thing. I was going to go across Scotland and be free. And I'd done 50 miles and I was only walking. And I literally tripped up over it. May as well have been over my own feet, and ended up landing on the floor. I was like, I'd smashed my head open. I was like, I might need stitches for that. You know how you are sort of assessing yourself. And I thought, why can't I get up? Because I was lying on my arm, and I was like, I've got up, and then my arm was a bit limp, and I was like, should be all right. Maybe if I try and get to the hospital, get myself stitched up, I can crack on the next day. And then it came transparent that I thought, I'm pretty bad. It's quite painful, this. In the middle of nowhere, luckily, an amazing guy went past on a bike, and he went, are you all right? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And he, as you do, and he cycled past, and then he came back and he went, are you sure you're fine? And I went, actually, I'm probably not. I'll probably need to maybe get some medical attention, because I'm not going to be able to stitch my own eye up, and my arm's a bit weak. And he had a car just up the road because he was a local. So he was like, I'll tell you what, I'll come back. Can you try and get yourself to this road, which was about a mile or so away? So I got myself to this road slowly, and he was there, took me to the hospital. And I ended up had dislocated my elbow, broke my arm in 3 places, cracked my ankle and smashed my head. So it was pretty serious. And I didn't tell anyone for like 2 days. I sort of went dark, because I was like, I guess, embarrassed that I, in my head at that point, failed. And at that point, I knew I couldn't couldn't continue for I don't know how long because they wanted to open me up and redo my elbow and all that type of stuff. So eventually I did tell everyone. I had to leave all my stuff up there. So my kayak and everything was all left up there. My van, because I drove up in a van, went back, completed the 300 miles in a sling around the local area. And then eventually when I got the cast off, and I probably wasn't okay to drive, I got the train back and brought all my kit back. And then, had a bit of humble pie and realised that I'm, needed to do things differently, I guess. I don't know. So it was my second attempt, and that was kind of facing fears of the easiest bit I thought was going to be was the West Highland Way.
The walk. Yeah,
was just walking, but clearly that had other plans. So yeah, every failure teaches you a lesson, doesn't it?
Again, the theme of resilience coming up. You think you learned anything on that?
Yeah, I think I learned I took too much kit. So I drastically downscaled it from a logistics point of view. To I guess to not be so hard on yourself, and you don't fail until you give up or you don't learn a lesson from it. So I think my biggest thing was I was just so embarrassed that I'd failed. And I did, kept it quiet for a couple of days. I was like, I'm not going to be able to continue. And then still kind of did, because I felt I was letting down the people who'd sponsored me. So I still did it round my local park and along, in my sling. But I guess it taught me, I am human. Scotland is brutal. And next time maybe be a little bit fitter with less kit. So
what was you carrying?
Then it was probably ridiculous. It was probably like 20 kilos. So it was too much. It was too much. It was far too much. And I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest. I was just like, oh yeah, I need to carry all this. So when I went the second time, it was probably near on sort of, I was as close to 10 as I could get. So.
Yeah, 10's manageable.
Yeah.
About £20.
Yeah. So I just went for only having one set of clothes and a set of clothes I put on overnight. And luckily, I did that because I was soaked to the skin every night. So it'd be taking the wet clothes off, the routine you have, put the dry clothes on in the morning, put those wet clothes back on, which was horrendous. Which was like, oh my God, what am I doing? What I didn't learn is that my tent was too small until the second time. Because it was raining, I was in a tomb tent. So I couldn't sit up. And that really snapped me. Really snapped me. Because it was torrential rain, I thought it was going to be this beautiful, idyllic thing,
What was it, just a bivvy with a...
Basically, like a tomb tent, so you could just about get in it and lie down. So, because it was torrential rain, I wasn't in this idyllic Scotland with the glens and
sit there with the door open.
Sit there with the door open, thinking about how wonderful life is. It was battering down with rain, and I was lying there like that going, yeah. So after that, I bought a better tent.
You can get some ridiculous ultralights.
Yeah,
they're probably
even
smaller than that.
I bought an MSR Hubber, I think it is. But I can sit up in it, and it's a little bit heavier, but I can sit up in it. And that is the simple things in life, isn't it?
I've only ever messed with... I got a couple of bivvies. One's red, and I bought it for doing winter expedition stuff. Literally, it'll stand out against the snow. It's literally a survival thing rather than a comfort thing. But I've never actually stayed in it. I've put it up. I know I can put it up. Yeah. And I've got in it, but it's just when you're wearing clothes, it's kind of touching you. Yeah. In parts.
Yeah. That was like that. It was horrendous. So yeah, invest in a good tent if you're going to do something stupid like that. And
if you're going to get the views like you're going to get, what was the night sky like over some of those places?
Yeah, because there was no ambient. It likens me to one memory, and it's a weird. Well, there's a couple of memories now coming back, but the one memory when I was in the Cadetes, and I was out in Outcar, which is up the road near Southport, and we were doing I think it was like a 2-star, 3-star section. Were you in the Cadetes? No. So it's like quite high up in the star levels. You're probably 16, something like that. And I was waiting for the section attack, and it was pitch black. And there was shooting star came across. I was like, you know, people don't get these views. And that was a bit like in Scotland, you know, there's no one around. You know, you might hear an owl or something flying around your head, and it was just stunning. You know, the clear nights, and the case of romantic, picturesque thing you were waiting for Scotland, which didn't happen a lot. It was only a couple of nights when I had to try night, I think.
The rain's going to take.
But yeah, it's kind of getting out to go to the loo, and then looking up and then being like in wonder that you're a speck in the universe.
When we live in cities like Manchester and Liverpool, it's exactly the same. And actually, most of Britain, and that's what Scotland's fantastic for, is I remember being in Otterburn in the snow and it being clear nights, and you're like, you see shooting stars every couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Like, you see them so often, it's insane. You think this is this rare event. It really isn't. You just don't see it because of the ambient light.
Yeah.
You've never seen stars unless you've been, I mean, the Afghan desert's a similar thing as well. Like the stars out there are ridiculous. You mentioned about being in the cadets, now speaking to the cadets. What do you talk to them about in terms of achievement, resilience, purpose?
Yeah, so I have been to some different cadet units that I speak at, but I'm a cadet instructor as well. So when I've been to, I went to Devon ACF to give them a talk, and I kind of talk about my life as a full circle, coming back to it. And I like to inspire not only the lads, but the lasses as well, that they can achieve everything. Anything that they want to achieve if they really want to, within, you know, your physical limits if you've got problems. But I kind of go on, like, you know, I was a normal kid from a normal background, and I went on to have a successful career within the military, did some amazing things. And now I'm back out and doing other stuff within Civilian Street. And I also try to bring in friends. So it's not, because the Cadet Force it's a youth organisation at the end of the day that's sponsored by the military. So it's not, a lot do go in the military, but there's loads that don't, and, you know, become really successful managers or, you know, lawyers, solicitors, and all walks of life. So I on my talks, I try to get other inspirational women in that have done out of the box jobs for females. So I've got a girl in it who's she's an aerospace engineer, like crazily intelligent, like designs planes and stuff. I've got the first female fighter jet player who's on it, a girl who works on a nuclear plant. There's Kath as well, who she's RNLI and a police officer. So I try to inspire, not just by talking about me, but other people who've started life in the Cadet Force and stuff, and how it puts them in such a good stead, really. But trying to just give them some inspiration, because it's a really difficult age, isn't it? Teenagers, because they don't really, you think you're grown up, but you're not, until you don't realise that till you're older. And what you do and make your decisions there can be life-changing, really. And that's what I think the cadets does, is it gives them the skills to go on and make successful lives in whatever careers they go in, even if that's, you know, they teach first aid and they teach leadership, and they can take that out into different walks of life. So it's kind of trying to inspire them to think what their next step is, particularly when they're in 17, 18. And that might not necessarily be the military, because it's not for everyone.
I think people talk all the time about a lack of sort of positive male role models, but you just pulled up some really interesting and varied careers there that I don't think most young females think about as a career. I have a 6-year-old daughter, not a clue what she's going to end up doing in the slightest. What's the sort of message that you give to young girls then? Like, you don't have to work in PR or whatever. Like, there's all these sort of active, sort of impactful jobs. I mean, a policeman and RNLI, that sounds really awesome. That sounds like a really interesting person.
Yeah. I mean, I'm incredibly, like, kind of honoured to have so many amazing friends. Like, they're all, like, inspirations to me. And I think when I do my talks as well, it's to try and inspire the lads, because, as you say, there is, you know, the lost boys and the forgotten way, and it's just about inspiring all of them to think that no matter, you know, now I'm back up north where they grew up, no matter what background you've got, if you've got the push and a drive, you can get out of there. And I think it's opening up their eyes as well, because if you've not been around people who have got such different diverse jobs, then you're not going to know it's about, is it? Certainly, you know, when I was growing up, I was like one of the first females that only just been let in the cadet force, and you've got all these you know, we weren't allowed to play football, essentially. Yeah, no, we just didn't play football because it wasn't a girls' sport. So things have changed, and it's amazing to see that people can do what they want. Really, there's no gender limitation anymore, which is great. You know, the army's opened up every role to
it's every role, isn't it?
Females, but equally, I do want to inspire the lads as well, because I do think they are being forgotten, and I think that's where my work with a company I'm involved with is trying to go, with inspiring the youngsters, the teenagers, and give them role models as well, because I think in this age of social media, you've got a lot of role models which can be out there and can be toxic, and I don't know how they cope, to be honest. I'm so glad I grew up without social media, because we didn't have so much pressure on you and so much bombardment, and you being a teenager is complex anyway, without being bombarded with all that. So
it's hard enough for me to manage my own attention span.
Yeah.
Let alone what it must be like for a teenager, just being bombarded with the dopamine of things on TikTok and Instagram, and the sort of aspirational lies of people trying to flog courses and you know, go move to Dubai, and this is all you've got to do. Where you know, I don't trust hardly any of those. I'm going to be honest with you.
No, I know, and as a young mind, you're easily influenced anyway, aren't you? Realistically, if you look back, but now all that, I mean, how they're navigating it is a bit scary, especially if you're a parent, to see what they're looking at. I know with the going back to the cadets again and youth organisations, that's where the joy of it is, I think, is they take them away from the phones and they give them real life role models. You know, we've got ambassadors within the cadet force who are inspirational. All of the instructors, you know, they give so much time. You know, some of the people in Cheshire and Sussex, where I was, they were a cadet, then they left, and then they joined as an adult instructor. So they like served the cadet force like 40, 50 years and stuff like that. And the amount of lives that they must have changed for the better is incredible. So it's giving people, these organisations, giving them real life role models as opposed to screen life role models, where they can physically see that person has done this, and it's not smokes and mirrors.
It kind of goes back to the things we were sort of touching on with ourselves. You find meaning in purpose. I personally find meaning in purpose and being busy. Teenagers here aren't any different. A lot of them may be stuck on a phone because they've not got that purpose on. They haven't found something to keep them busy, because once they are busy, and I think it links in with self-esteem a little bit as well, and maybe that's what the cadets are getting. But even if it wasn't through the cadet force, if it was through sport or
Yeah.
through art or whatever it was that they chose to dedicate their time to rather than TikTok, they'll get real dopamine,
Yeah.
even if it was fitness.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I think you can, if you give yourself and find yourself some sort of a purpose and follow it to the point where people ask you if you're off your nut, it's probably a good thing, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, you know, as you point on sports, athletics, the athletics program within the UK is so successful because it gives them that focus and drive, and it's quite cheap. You know, they don't have to, like, I went off and decided I was going to be a skier. That wasn't cheap. But I had everything second hand and I was on a plastic slope. But getting a pair of trainers and running or going to a boxing gym. So boxing's incredibly, you know, most towns, cities, even villages will have a boxing gym, and that gives you amazing focus and fitness and, you know, a bit of anger management.
Discipline.
Definitely discipline, because it's hard as hell, isn't it? And martial arts, for that matter. You know, martial arts are another escape. I mean, and handy as well in this world. So.
You think about, there's not a lot of consequences for gobbing off. There's not a lot of consequences for talking shit on social media. You say what you say and you keep it moving. They're never going to come round and knock on your door. Maybe. But if you was to gob off to your boxing gym instructor, there's probably real consequences in the next 35 seconds that you might not like. And I think that's very useful tool to learn. So I think it's useful to be manhandled and not necessarily be beat up, but be beat up. Like to know that there's people out there that can do these things to you, and it's going to make you think twice before you do gob off. Yeah,
and also it gives people. The thing is with the organisations and stuff, you know, youth organisations and clubs, the kids want to go there. So they've also, school, they might not want to go there. Some people might want to go there. You know, there's always going to be a class you don't particularly like or a teacher you don't like, where they're choosing to go these and places, and that's what helps, I think, build the respect and resilience and commitment and all those good things when you're doing stuff outside of the school as opposed to going on Call of Duty of a night.
What's next for you, Gina?
So Everest, obviously not the Everest. I haven't got enough money to do Everest. But also, so getting the girls up there and back down safely, raising some awareness and funds for the charities is my next big goal. Literally, it's looming. And after that, I'm supposed to not be doing anything, but after that, I've got nothing this year planned. I've got an idea for next year's sort of challenge, and in the veteran community, I'm trying to sort of still be the voice, still help the charities that I'm working for. So I'm ambassador of Woody's Lodge, which is an amazing charity.
I actually don't know much about Woody's Lodge.
So Woody's Lodge is the biggest Veterans and Emergency Services charity in Wales. They keep wanting to step over to England, but they haven't yet. But what they do is provide a safe space for veterans to go, so like little hubs. So they're really vital, particularly in rural Wales and stuff where there's nothing to go and stuff. So they're a brilliant small charity. I'm still obviously going to be with the Cadet Force, involved with Purple Warriors, which is a veterans dragon boating team, which again is just a small charity that's a sense of community that helps the people within it, getting out, sport and fitness, camaraderie. I've just took on a trustee role with the ADAA, which is literally, I think, today, and it's basically a organisation that gets people their assistance dogs that are their dogs already to be licensed as assistance dogs. So, you know, the therapy dogs and that type of thing. So they're the charities I'm kind of involved with. The Cadetes is going to be a big thing. I'm the adventure training officer, so that takes up a lot of my time, and it means I don't wear a uniform as well. So they're always like, "Have you got a uniform?" So a bit of a tracksuit soldier, and also I'm still driving forward with my campaign, which came to a bit of an end because of the government change. I was trying to get veterans to have free gym memberships, or at least subsidised. So, as you know, we all like fitness. Mental health improves, your physical fitness improves, it stops illnesses and ailments, not only mental health. But some veterans can't afford it, or if they can afford it, it'd be nice if they got a discount. And I think if students across the whole country get a discount when they haven't, no offence to students, served the country yet, then why aren't the gyms offering memberships? And I was getting a bit of headway with Johnny Mercer. He was quite behind it, but since Al Khan's got in, he's been really busy, and I haven't managed to. I've been in a room with him, but I've not managed to pin him down to see what we can do. But I guess I'm going to be coming for him next year.
Stand by, mate.
Yeah.
In 5 words, how would you like to be remembered?
That's a difficult one. Hopefully that I'm kind. I was resilient. I offered purpose to people. Maybe inspired them, although that's a bit big-headed, isn't it? And the last one.
It's something that people might say about you, but you're not. I don't think you're allowed to say it yourself,
No.
even if it's true.
But yeah, definitely. I just want to probably be known for kindness, and that I can make people laugh occasionally. That's it.
I think I'm going to give you busy. You can have busy, I think.
Yeah, busy. Yeah, never sit still, probably. Was late for her own funeral.
Well, Gina, I think it's a fascinating story. Hopefully you are an inspiration to men and women, boys and girls, people that are thinking about a career of service. And like you said, service doesn't necessarily mean wearing a uniform, even though you've been wearing one since, 13?
Yeah. Long time.
But I will throw a link to the numerous volume of charities that you are an ambassador and a trustee and a supporter of in the description. But thanks for your time. I've really enjoyed this. And
it's been incredible. I'm sure we could have chatted for hours, to be honest, because I'm thinking of other things I could have said. But it's been great to come back to Manchester. I haven't been for a while.
And you start your own podcast, right?
Yeah. So Beyond the Barracks, it's out there already. Very small.
We'll put a link to that.
Yeah, sharing the incredible stories of veterans that have come to be called, and most of them are friends, which is incredible. One probably I should mention, Mark Omrod. He is now a friend, and I'm working with him. And the project that I should have mentioned was we're trying to get a free mentor program for veterans, which hopefully potentially could be up and running by next year, and that's gonna be free and help anybody who's sort of struggling with civilian life to get a bit of guidance. So that'll be an incredible project, which hopefully will inspire a few people and get people on the right track if they've wavered.
All right, well, go check all of that out. Gina, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.